we're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to We Believe in Comics, Friday Night Comics at SAW. SAW is a 501c3 nonprofit with online courses. You can find them at learn.sawcomics.org. Here are some upcoming courses we've got well on your way with Beth Tremblay, Bootlegger's Guide to Nonfiction with Jess Rullison. I know all these people. Procreate for Comics with Elise Dietrich, and Do-It-Yourself Publishing with Sarah Maloney. And next Friday Night Comics, Ellen O'Grady is hosting. What is the theme? It's not written here, so I don't know, but she's great. We all love Ellen O'Grady. Here's some of the courses that are coming up. See, now I have the Zoom controls right in front of me. We've got Jess's course, Bootlegger's Guide to Story. That's 4 sessions. And when does that start? I wish I could tell you, but I've got Zoom controls. All right, that starts Wednesday, January 17th. We've got a longer course from Beth Tremblay. Well on your way. This 12-week course. If you've ever met Beth or taken any of her classes, she's amazing. That starts on Monday, February 12th. And Elise is teaching Procreate for Comics, the whole workflow. If you have Procreate, if you have an iPad and you kind of at the beginning stage of using it for comics, this is the course you want. It's 4 sessions. I met Elise the same time I met Barry and Mark and Beth in the 2020 graphic novel intensive course here. So you can find out about these courses and more at learn.sawcomics.org. Also, we have our own comics platform called Seesaw Comics. It's in tiny letters here, seesawcomics.org, where you can see a lot of different comics from members of the Saw community, including this Joker, The Pursuit of Unhappiness. If you're feeling too cheerful and need a little gloom in your life, check that out. Also, SAW survives from tuitions and donations from people like you. If you donated tonight, thank you. You can support us at PayPal and our Patreon accounts, or consider becoming a sustaining member. Well, this is really if we were doing a usual workshop tonight to share your work here, but tonight we have a special reading. Oh, also, please no inappropriate speech or images, Michael. No trolling or hate speech or explicit language, Barry. Thank you. Keep it PG-13.
Okay.
And then here is the order. I hate to say enjoy or else. What? You know, some people's default condition is miserable. So tonight we do have the SAW live comics reading with members from the SAW community. I'm going to stop sharing. And here is where I'm going to read from the script, but pretend I'm just making it up off the top of my head. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Comics at SAW Reading Series. I'm your host, Michael. One of the reasons I am so proud to volunteer at SAW is because of how much I believe in the space, the difference it has made in my life and my work and in the lives of so many of the friends I've made here. This isn't just a school where you can get good at comics. It's also a welcoming and supporting community where we uplift each other. So if you haven't joined us on the Mighty Network, it's free. We have free events like this. And if you're interested in making comics, this is the place to get involved. And this event tonight is a taste of that mission, to welcome, to nurture, to inspire, to motivate. Quick note about tonight's format. We have 7 readers. After each reader, I'll take a couple of audience questions. So if you have a question for that reader, just type it into the chat at that time. And after everybody's read, we'll do a general Q&A. Just like the regular Friday Night Comics, you just raise your Zoom hand and I'll call on you. Okay, so let's kick things off. God, I got a lot of fancy words to pronounce here. With Michaela Poole. It's one of those. And Michaela teaches history at Vassar College. Where are you, Michaela? Let me spotlight you. There you are. Michaela teaches history at Vassar College, mostly focusing on Ukraine, Russia, and wait for it, Kazakhstan. Is that, did I get it?
That was very good. That was very good.
Okay. And here's an excerpt from her comic called The Secret.
Okay, Michaela Poole,
And you
The
just want to
Secret.
switch to that use slideshow,
Oh,
remember?
yeah. It looks like you have it on presenter mode.
Yeah, it's that button right there. Use slideshow at the top left. There we are.
Michaela Poole, The Secret. In the spring of 1989, I spent a semester in Germany to research my senior thesis. Nobody in Germany took me seriously, but I felt creative and confident. I had read an early chapter of Maus in Raw magazine. My project's title was Wiesbaden 1933 to 1945. I wanted to do oral history and use local archives. My biggest mistake was asking my adoptive parents if I could stay with them. I had not seen them in 8 years. On the left, Marlies, 1928 to 2008, and on the right, Helmut, 1920 to 2003. At first, we argued about kind of normal stuff. You think you know everything, but it's from books. You need to lose weight. 10 p.m. is too late to come home. Will you ever graduate? I was in the Air Force, Papa. Did you forget? I'm only 26. Then they started to sound more reproachful. They had anti-Semitism everywhere, not just in Germany. Hitler will be forgotten in 100 years. Stalin was worse. Mao killed more people. Neue Heimat apartments. Soon after I arrived in Germany, I went to an exhibit in Frankfurt. I still have the flyer taped into my journal. Schöne Zeiten. Judenmord aus der Sicht der Täter und Gaffer. The show documented how enthusiastic the perpetrators of the Holocaust often were. It included souvenir photos of personnel at Treblinka enjoying breaks. The exhibit showed crowds of gawkers. They're all women. Kurt Franz, Treblinka's camp boss, titled an album of his snapshots Good Times. The album became evidence at his trial. Somebody tried to erase the words, but they remained visible. Schöne Zeiten.
Mhm.
When Papa saw the poster for Schöne Zeiten, he flew into a rage. Good times. Parties during the war? Lies.
Mhm.
Nobody had fun. And how is Kaffee and Kuchen, tea time, relevant? But your history books were written in revenge. Is he for real? I thought he wasn't a Nazi. We stopped talking after that. And a week later, Mama informed me that I had to find somewhere else to stay. Scheiße. What do I do now? After they kicked me out, life actually got easier. At the youth hostel, I was the only guest, so I could spread out a little. I was now in the center of Wiesbaden instead of their distant high-rise suburb. I could focus. It was peaceful. Whisper. As a topic for my thesis, one place that stood out was the so-called Hadamar Euthanasia Center, mere steps from where Helmut, my adoptive father, grew up. Hadamar was the site of a murder factory, a psychiatric hospital where more than 15,000 perished. Gas line, no shower heads, no drain. The victims included disabled and handicapped people, chronic patients and POWs, and many other people. Many in the region got paychecks from the asylum. Irmgard Huber, their former head nurse, was released from prison in 1952 and lived in Hadamar until her death in 1983, unbothered. Malis was a nursing student 3 miles from Hadamar. In 1952, the year former head nurse Huber was released from prison. I know you weren't there, but didn't people gossip? No, nobody did. So how about now? How does it make you feel? And Mama said, it's not my fault. I feel nothing. I was never in the party. And don't even dream of asking me for a ride there. Weeks later, sigh, I forgot the flowers. It took forever to get to Hadamar by bus. Everyone knew why I was there, even without flowers. Mönchsberg. It's up there, but closed today. Closed. I found locked buildings, and at the top of a steep hill, out of sight, behind tall trees, a smaller than expected grass field, and an obelisk with the words, "Man honor man." You could learn more in books and trial records than on site. It's still an asylum. Oh my God. If I wanted to use interviews in my thesis, Hadamar was not a feasible topic. Back in Wiesbaden, I plunged into the city's tiny punk scene. I went to one epic show. And I documented graffiti. Can you say what it means? No idea. Turks out, and this long one, stand up and strike back. Anti-Nazi slogans were absolutely everywhere. Nazis raus, which is Nazis out. I tried to figure out how I felt about the angriest street art. Like this 4x4-inch flyer that was based on Juda Verrecke, Hitler's battle cry, "Death to Judah." Is that what Helmut and Malis thought I was saying to them? Death to Nazis? To be continued.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michaela. Let me move spotlight. Yeah, we got a couple people unmuted. Let me make sure I can see the chat. Did anybody have any questions? I see some comments from the readers. The expressions on the bus are very effective. Betsy really liked the woodcut look. Well, I have a couple of questions. Well, one, did you ever finish your senior thesis, Michaela?
Yes, I did. I do plan to tell that in more comics. I finished it. It wasn't about that village. It was about something else. And It was accompanied by more big fights that we had, but I finished it and I actually got it published. And it basically got me into grad school, I think. But then
Wow.
I studied Russian history, not German history in grad school. German history, I avoided it because it was so emotional. It made my heart race, like literally.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. All right, looking for no questions, just comments. So let me give you one more question before we move on to Maria. So how did making this comic change your relationship to German history?
Well, it's changing right now, I guess, because I'm working on the comic now, and it's bringing me back to German history. It's like I finished my senior thesis, but I'm only now finishing my thesis in the Evergreen sense. I went to this college called the Evergreen State College, and I'm doing sort of the holistic, sort of giant thing that, that I had in mind. And I'm finally, I did get to interview my adoptive parents, but on their terms. And then I found a bunch of other documents by them and from them after they died. So it's telling all of that story
Mhm.
that I couldn't. So I basically found out what they weren't telling me back then.
Really interesting. Well, I love that comic. I can't wait to see more.
Thank
Uh,
you very much.
Thank you. And you can ask Michaela more questions at the end if you have some. Next up, let me find it's Maria. Um, Maria Fitzgerald is a retired public high school science teacher passionate about preserving public institutions that help people. She took the Saw graphic novel intensive last year, and here's an abbreviated version of her comic called How the USPS Saved the 2020 Election, which she completed in 2020.
Does everybody see that?
I do, but I think, can you maximize that or go into
Yes.
slideshow?
Okay.
There we are.
Okay, great. The United States Postal Service and the 2020 election by Maria Fitzgerald. When COVID-19 struck the United States of America in March of 2020, the United States Postal Service continued to serve. People in the USA were told to stay home and not make unnecessary trips. The USPS was there to deliver prescriptions and much more. Due to the spread of COVID-19, some USPS workers were exposed to the virus. Some fell ill, and many had to quarantine. By May 2020, 60 USPS workers had died from COVID-19. Did President Trump appreciate these sacrifices? No. When Congress tried to pass a bill for pandemic relief, Trump said he would veto the bill if it included money for the USPS. Many small businesses rely on the dependability and reasonable cost of the USPS. For example, comic book artist Pat Alicio uses the USPS to mail his comics to his online fans. 25% of the USPS workforce are people of color. The Postal Service is unionized. These are jobs that provide a living wage. The USPS also employs over 100,000 veterans.
Mm.
Louis DeJoy was appointed Postmaster General in May 2020. DeJoy is a wealthy businessman who donated $1.5 million to Trump's election campaign. One of DeJoy's first acts was to cancel all USPS overtime. Reports of slow mail ensued. Across the country in June of 2020, postal workers rallied for funding to save the USPS. Sini Melvin, president of the Clarksburg American Postal Workers Union in West Virginia, held a car caravan protest. Debbie Caroli, a retired postal clerk, joined the rally. "We are at your door every day," she said. During the spring and summer of 2020, some states held primary elections. However, due to the pandemic, many voters and poll workers felt it was unsafe to venture out to their polling places. Once again, the USPS was there to help. The USPS facilitated absentee and vote by mail. President Trump criticized mail-in ballots. He even threatened Nevada and Michigan with a decrease in federal funding if they expanded mail-in voting. Later, he backed away from this threat. In spite of his disapproval of mailed ballots, Trump requested an absentee ballot so that he could vote in the Florida primary. Many states were informed by the USPS that mail-in ballots would require extra time to meet election deadlines. It was stated that first-class postage should be used. This means that the cost of mailing a ballot would rise from 22 cents to 55 cents. Senator Chuck Schumer said, "What a despicable derogation of democracy." Pelosi and Schumer sent DeJoy a letter stating that his changes should be reversed. Also, they asked DeJoy to provide documentation of the Postal Service's plan to successfully deliver 2020 election mail. Trump continued to cast doubt on the ability of the post office to process ballots. The post office does not have enough time to deal with all the mail-in ballots. Meanwhile, USPS union officials reported sorting machines were being dismantled at post offices around the country. And the USPS removed hundreds of mailboxes in Montana and Oregon. Numerous lawsuits had been filed against the USPS and DeJoy due to concern about disruption of the upcoming election. Rulings stemming from these lawsuits led to increased monitoring of USPS operations. As Election Day approached, postal facilities were swept for ballots twice daily. Postal workers treated ballots as express mail. Election Day was November 3rd. In the early hours of November the 4th, Trump had 213 electoral college votes and Biden had 224. The results were delayed in many states, while absentee ballots were processed. In-person voting in Pennsylvania gave Trump a lead over Biden. However, as the tabulation of mailed ballots got underway, Trump's lead narrowed. Likewise, in Georgia, Trump's early lead was diminished by Biden as mailed ballots were counted. On November the 5th, Biden looked likely to win Georgia and its prized 16 electoral college votes. Finally, on November the 7th, the mailed ballots delivered Biden a 34,000 vote lead over Trump in Pennsylvania. This meant that Biden had enough electoral college votes to win. In New York City, residents spontaneously broke into clapping and cheering when mail trucks passed by. With COVID-19 ravaging the country, the USPS provided a safe way to vote. More than 65 million people voted by mail in the 2020 general election. The United States Postal Service proved its worth. That is the end.
Wow. That's amazing, Maria. I think we had a question from Barry that I thought was really good. Let me see if I could scroll back and find it. Barry wanted to know, scrolling back. Yeah, what did the research process for this comic look like? Was the information all in one place? How much hunting was involved?
It was very research intensive, but I wrote it as the year went by. I started it in, March of 2020, and I just followed the news. I just constantly kept finding out what was happening. And I didn't go back and research it. I was just doing it in the moment. I was watching TV, getting news. I was going online mostly and reading the news and keeping up with things. Like I even watched some of the goings on of Congress, where they were, when they had interviews where they were grilling DeJoy. And so it was just basically in the moment, researching the moment. And then I did do a little bit of other research at the USPS website, to find out how they run things and everything. So it was a lot of research.
Wow. It felt like a marriage between comics and a documentary. And your layouts, I think you'll see a lot of the comments are so cinematic. They have a lot of depth, really. Were you developing this at the same time you were taking the graphic novel intensive? What was the timing?
No, I was actually taking sort of illustration classes at the time. And
Oh,
I'd
okay.
been I had made a couple of comics before this. And I think I was kind of just trying to get the hang of illustrating. I think I thought this would be a good thing to illustrate.
Yeah.
So I did the graphic novel intensive a couple of years later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, such a pivotal moment in history, and I wonder how people are going to reflect 10 years from now. Will they remember what COVID was like and how it disrupted our lives and the uncertainty? I don't
Yeah,
know. Well, thank you for sharing that.
thank
Um,
you.
Next up is Beverly Edwards. Um, Beverly attended SAW's 2023 graphic novel intensive. See, I think I may be mushing up everybody's backstory here. She also teaches at the University of Memphis. She has a self-published book out called God's Miracle Among Corruption in Idaho, and she's currently working on a graphic memoir called Family Interrupted, and here's a taste of it. Hi, Beverly.
Fine, okay. Mm, Right. Interrupted. As a Black mother, I became too comfortable and too trusting of a system that too often fails people like me. In 2012, my daughter's lawyer was able to silence my voice. The Idaho Medical Board and the Idaho Bar Association were complicit in the cover-up, and the 14th Amendment proved powerless to protect her rights. I requested the judge to submit the medical malpractice case to the county prosecutor for a criminal investigation of my daughter's attorney and the doctor for defrauding the case.
Mm.
My request was denied. Robin's attorney committed a felony. The police refused to take a report. Maybe the mayor can encourage them to do their jobs. Dear Mayor, it would be improper to prosecute, signed, City Attorney. How do I fight a system created to deny my humanity? 14th Amendment, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. I began advocating for patient safety because it helped channel my frustrations. Robin was a victim of off-label drug use and a medical misdiagnosis.
Mm.
While she fought for her life, a doctor in Idaho Falls, Idaho, changed her medical records. Patient Robin Edwards, 6/24/94, age 13. Symptoms, history of migraine, headaches, missed several days of school because of headaches. When she awakened from the coma, I didn't tell her the medical team's prognosis, brain dead.
Hmm.
I told her she was ill and needed to work hard to recover. Our lives were destroyed. My retirement was depleted. We had to give up our home. Robin held out, but her losses were great. There was no saving for college or vacations. Before the stroke, she was everyone's cheerleader, especially her brothers. She was inducted into the Honor Society the spring of 2007. She loved school and was excited to take AP classes, advanced placement classes. She loved sports. She ran track and planned to try out for her junior high basketball team. She wanted to be a sports broadcaster. People don't advocate for victims of medical negligence like they do gun violence, even though thousands more die from medical negligence. Those numbers don't include those who've been disabled and incapacitated for life, like Robin. Mom, where are we? I want to go back. We can't go back. There's no way to count the cost to a family. Financial losses, robbed memories, mental anguish. It overwhelms the spirit and the soul. The journey to recovery sometimes seems impossible, and justice is rare. Black people disproportionately affected by medical negligence.
Hmm.
Fighting for patient safety and accountability in a capitalistic society is overwhelming and discouraging, and a few advocates have committed suicide.
Hmm.
No justice. Some days writing the memoir is therapeutic, and others I feel like I'm falling into the abyss, and then my brain does an automatic cool down. And I find myself creating stories about I Dream of Jeannie, a Black adaptation of it. Joy, don't go far. Yes, ma'am. What is this? It's time to go. I'm coming. What is that? I found a genie. That is not a genie. Okay, can I keep it? It probably belongs to someone, but there's no one here, please. What if a genie is inside? Don't be silly. Who's shaking my bottle?
Mhm.
That thing is probably filled with sand. Don't open it inside. I won't. I promise these things were not made for brown girls. I should have braided my hair and wore a wig. I laugh and put the draft away.
Wow, Beverly. Man, I saw this at the tech rehearsal and I even helped you with the PowerPoint and it still crushes me. Um, let's see. I'm going to chat to see. You got a lot of nice comments. that you look strong and beautiful, and this reading is powerful and moving. My friend Bambi thought the tornado was very poignant. A lot of people commented on the phrase "we can't go back." Um, and so I have a question. When you say this is an abbreviated version of the memoir you're working on, what do you mean? What did we just see?
Well, you saw a summary that I had to try to summarize it because I have about 50 pages done, but it's going to be much longer. And so I did an abbreviated version of it. Yeah.
I
So
see. Okay. And when you talk about the genie story, that your way of, because this is such a heartbreaking story, and I imagine the feelings that come up when you're when you're manifesting it as drawings on the page. Is that one way that you cope with those feelings?
it is because it's, I don't like, I try to select a day of the week that I'm going to write about this because it can be overwhelming. And usually when I feel overwhelmed, I start writing I start writing children's stories for some reason. I mean, I've come up with several children's books probably that I'll finish sometime afterwards.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's I guess it's my way to cool down and to kind of come out of that space when I feel overwhelmed when I'm writing. Yeah.
Well, it's so intense, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. And by the way, just I'm going to share everybody's social media links at the end so you can follow anybody that you want to follow. Thanks again. And now um, we have uh, Rachel. Thank you. Asked to unmute. Uh, and all right, let me figure out how to do this. Where are you, Rob? Can you wave your hand? Where did Rob go?
Sorry, I was muted.
Oh, there you are. Okay, let me spotlight you.
Oh.
Let me spotlight Rachel. Okay.
Oh,
Um,
and there's
this is let me
two
do.
other people who have their hands raised that you can
Oh,
just
it's like a whole cast. All right. This is
it got out of control, but yeah.
okay.
Just
Uh,
yeah.
I love surprises because nothing ever phases me.
Oh,
Uh,
good.
Uh, okay, and whoops, I clicked the wrong thing. I'm just gonna spotlight you, Rob, but we have everybody else. Now let me do your intro. Next up is our friend Rob Hot Wheels Stevens. He's a printmaker, a painter, a former art professor, and musician adjacent. Rob lives in Louisiana, where he makes stuff. And here's an excerpt from Rob's graphic novel, The Devil's Chapel.
All right. Sorry, can you see this?
Yeah, you just need to click slideshow. Yeah,
Ah,
there.
okay.
The Devil's Chapel, a diatribe by Rob Hot Wheels Stevens. Trigger warnings: smoking, art world, academic, know-it-all types.
Smash cut to Booze Alley. A short intro to the big city. Concise. Maybe a poem. Maybe clever. Some type of thing that, a writer type might write or create. Think grimy New York of the 70s. Think film noir. Think hard boiled detective types. Shanty towns. Graffiti. Corruption. Think St. Augustine's City of Man. Think Babylon. Think grindhouses. Think flop houses, opium dens, coffee shops. Think cautionary tales of vice, of innocence seduced. Think tough talking career gals. Think Valley of the Dolls, Metropolis, Can't Stop the Music, Cruising, Working Girl. Call my art pedestrian, will they? They haven't begun to see pedestrian work. I'll show them pedestrian. Oh, why is it not? Oh. Any more? Stupid. Stupid, stupid. I'm so stupid. They didn't even look at my work. Those snobs. They'll be sorry. They'll be so sorry. Sigh. Maybe I've wasted everyone's time. Maybe I just, oh, why is it doing that? Maybe I just suck. To even think that I might, See, I've been dreaming about showing art since I was a kid. It's all I think about. And they called me derivative. I hitchhiked all the way up here. And for what? For why?
Have another one, little dude. It'll calm you down.
Calm me down. I poured my heart into those stupid paintings.
Paintings? You a painter?
Well, I try to be, but there's plenty who thinks otherwise. Gallery X, for example, thinks my paintings aren't Laconian.
Laconian. Enough?
Yeah, that means fancy. They said my brushstrokes were unstudied and too precious. The art world, they hate me. They hate my work.
The art world really does hate your work. They're vultures ready to feast on naive souls like yours, hon.
I brought my best work. I even borrowed a tie to be extra fancy. This is a flashback. I won a blue ribbon for all of these. Any classiest gallery in the city, it has signs that say, respect the art, dress fancy, no shoes, no service. And this,
Pedestrian. Derivative. I don't think your work will find interest here.
And poorly
Not
executed.
going to make
Couldn't
it.
say this.
All this
Smart art.
contemporary
Get out
art.
of here.
for shame. There's my heart breaking. Placeholder.
Typical dark alleyway. Disreputable. Details. Trash. Fire escapes. Tires. Stray cats. Pests. Fire burns in metal trash can. See every movie about a city. If poetic, one could compare the fire can to a hellmouth, but poetry is for bullshit in the big city. Emmett throws torn drawings into flames, teary-eyed.
Oh, squirt, squirt, all that crying sounds.
Well, I'd like to see these paintings sometime.
They might suck. That's what the experts.
I have a feeling I would like them. I have a taste for the unconventional.
We don't need trouble. V, we don't need trouble. Any more trouble here?
I don't cause trouble, sweetheart. That's old Scratch's deal. Just looking to have a chat with our talented friend here.
Talented?
V here knows talent when she sees it. You should listen to her.
Absolutely. I can sense something special in you, kid. But talent alone doesn't guarantee success, you know. Many times, just the opposite. But I am sure you know. I take it you're one of those privileged coastal elites. Am I right?
What? Far from it. I mean, I don't even.
Then you're a fool. Only trust fund babies should even try. It's a rigged game. The only way to afford being an artist is to sell your soul.
What? That can't be right.
It's the art world. That isn't right.
Art history.
You've seen the people who have made it big. How do you think those chuckleheads did it? It's kind of a thing now. It's not about what someone can do. It's about what someone is willing to do.
Stanley, Jack Kirby, Jim Davis, all of that Latin stuff.
The famous are willing to do things the normals are not.
Next time, the crossroads. Creepy occult nonsense. So and so and such and such. Boom.
It's just a standard boilerplate contract. Don't be a baby about it. It's only one dab of blood. Why all the self-sabotage? It's an investment in your future. Manifest what you deserve like the rest of them Californian types. And so, a rare early masterpiece entitled Tippy will start the bidding at 25 billion.
Exquisite. Deliciously transgressive.
All right, thanks. Like and follow me, Good Kid Rob, Instagram, YouTube, you know the deal. And I'm gonna stop sharing.
Oh my God, Rob, I literally had to put my hands over my mouth because I thought I was laughing too loud and disrupting this amazing performance.
We
Just
saw
started
you
Oh,
doing
nice.
that.
I didn't mean it to be funny, but thank you. It's great.
Well, I mean, it's not comedic, but
No, I'm
it's
teasing. I'm
smart.
teasing.
And
I'm just being a jerk. But thank you. That makes me feel good.
no,
And
I
thanks
just,
for my Des Moines crew. Two I
oh
just
yeah,
met
great.
tonight, and the other one is an old friend that I've known for a long time.
What a cast. Just so the rest of the audience knows, I challenged volunteers for this night to make their comics theatrical. I said, I want you to hold up a whole page at once. And Rob took that challenge and ran with it, man. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Let me see. Do we have any questions in the chat? Just people blown away, as I was by all of these comics, and going from like every emotion in the book. I can't scroll through all these questions, so I'll just bug you with a couple of questions off the top of my head. So I'm such a movie buff and a fan of noir. What influence did the movies have on this, Rob?
Oh my God. Well, I'm obsessed with a movie called Nightmare Alley.
Oh yeah.
And I like Patricia Hightower. I'm not sure if she's film noir or not, but she sort of is because she hates everybody she writes about.
You're not talking about are you talking about the original or the remake?
Oh, I like them both. I like the original except for the ending. So I like that the remake kept the sort of chicken head biting.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, sorry.
There may be some people who haven't seen it yet.
Oh, yeah.
So is this really like a manifestation of your journey to figure out where you fit in as an artist? Because it felt like
Sort of. I'm tying in a lot of things. I used to draw lots of cityscapes, kind of as a dream type of thing. And yeah, this is supposed to be about yeah, my art thinking in terms of trying to get people to look at my art as opposed to, I don't know. There's a journey. It's good. There's a character arc. It's
Well, how has that transition been from painting and printmaking to comics?
ah, well, it's fun. I used to like try to tell jokes to distract people from like criticizing my artwork, and then I started writing these zines and comics, and it's the opposite kind of. So I don't know. I've had a lot of fun. It's a lot. I don't know. It's goofier. It's fun. Like I'm having a lot of fun. I remember when I was in grad school, my professor told me that I should study comics, and I was like mortified. I was so pissed about it. I was like, well, I never. So I can't believe this asshole. And little did I know, 25 years later, I'm like, oh, comics are great.
Well, what was it about comics? Did it feel like an insult?
No, it really didn't. I liked comics. I just thought, this guy thinks he knows what I am, even
No.
though he kind of did. He knew what I was. Someone else told me, yeah, yeah. Anyways, regardless, thank you. I'm oversharing, so thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
No,
This
well,
was a lot
I
of fun.
started it by asking you these questions. Well, thanks for that, Rob. Okay,
Okay, thanks.
now
Oh, not
um,
Laconian.
we've got Betsy. Betsy, could you wave and help me out by waving vigorously so I can find you? There you are. Okay. Um, right after art school, Betsy Hudson attempted making comics, but felt they weren't good enough, so she quit. She did that on and off for the next 30 years. When she found Saw, she stopped quitting. This excerpt is from her first comic, The Dry Cleaner's 3 Stories.
I forgot what I'm supposed to do next, Michael. Share my screen.
Hit the share screen.
That was it. And then share. And then put this up. And then hide you guys. Well, I don't know how to hide you guys, so I'll just go. Okay, yeah, thank you for being here, everybody. This is my comic is based on true events, and it's my husband was traveling for business, and he got stuck in the airport on the West Coast, and he bumped into our dry cleaner, Max, and they weren't friends, but they were both trying to get back to the East Coast to get home, and they had delay after delay, and the dry cleaner told him well, he just started talking because they had to kill a lot of time. It was a 14-hour delay. And I'm going to start you off with this excerpt. It starts off, they're both like, well, Charlie, the husband, is sitting at the gate, and he's waiting to see if his plane is going to ever take off. Sorry. The hours passed, and Max and Charlie went their separate ways. Most passengers, certainly the pessimists, found alternate flights. Charlie, however, had faith in the disembodied voice promising imminent boarding, so he trusted and waited and kept trusting and waiting. I wish those signs weren't up there. I don't know how to make them smaller. Okay.
Betsy, it's getting a little, maybe Zoom lag. Can you go back to the previous panel and
Yeah.
just pause it until you finish reading it? You never know what Zoom lag is going to do. Yeah, just
Hey,
pause.
Michael, I'm sorry, guys. I have all the people on the side. Do you have all the people on the side?
No, we have you sharing your screen.
Oh, you just have my screen. Okay,
Mhm.
here we go.
Yeah. And you can customize that if you want.
Take two. Max and Charlie went their separate ways. Most passengers, certainly the pessimists, found alternate flights. Charlie, however, had faith in the disembodied voice promising imminent boarding, so he trusted and he waited and kept trusting and waiting. Eventually, only a few loyal passengers remained at the gate. Max, Charlie. When told to board for takeoff, they happily complied. The flight would be delayed again, but they didn't know that yet. My wife is keeping dinner warm. The next announcement came when they were still on the gangway. Attention passengers, due to maintenance issues, this flight has been grounded. We will have a new plane at the gate shortly. Damn. Alma. They complained for a while, but it just made them feel worse. So they changed the subject. Let's talk about something else. It turned out that besides dry cleaning, Max was accomplished in engineering, hydroponic gardening, karate, math tutoring, and real estate sales. He'd had a very interesting life. Well, thank you for saying that. Sharing stories is a good way to pass the time, don't you think? And so the sharing, or in Charlie's case, the listening, began. Max's first story was about a good friend, like a brother to me, who asked to borrow money. Even though it was a lot of money, Max felt it was the right thing to do. Of course, I will help you. Thank you, my friend. I am very grateful. Max had not yet heard the saying, no good deed goes unpunished. Oh, don't be a smarty pants. We have a payment plan. That night, you lent him $500,000? Oh, don't worry. We have a payment plan. Allahu Akbar. But the payments slowed and then stopped. Murad, I've been patient. I know you're there. Pick up the phone. Murad, stop. Let's talk. What was I thinking? Max's usual lighthearted manner began to change, and he became impatient with everything and everyone. And he stayed that way for a long time. We have gummy flavored antacids. It's not heartburn. It's what he did to me. Go back to sleep, my booby. Max doesn't know why the anger suddenly left him, but when it did, it woke him from a sound sleep. That's enough. The money was a gift. It's over. I'm letting it go.
Mm.
I'm letting it go. Letting it go. Letting it go. When he let go of the anger, a tremendous weight was lifted.
Mm.
I'm light. I'm free. I'm happy. What's he doing? He's feeling happy.
He's feeling happy.
At that moment, a peacefulness fell on him like warm rain. It's 4 a.m. Why are you making it rain in the house? The money never bothered Max again. He said it was one of his most important life lessons. And Charlie said, "You mean about lending money?" And Max said, "No, I mean about letting go."
Mm.
And that was his first story. For real.
Wow, Betsy. No self-deprecating comments tonight, okay?
Okay.
So, I mean, you got a lot of comments, just how beautiful your work is, your
Oh,
character
cool.
work, the colors, the compositions. You can scroll back on those. Let me ask you this. So, we became friends because we have a similar story. We wanted to make art. We were traumatized in art school. So you say 30 years. What brought you back to art and what kept you pushing forward?
You get older and you're like, what the freak am I doing? And I did that a lot, but when you get really old, then you do it for real, I think. Just, if not now, when, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, you told me to stop running away. So then it's trapped.
Well, because I recognized my story and your story. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm trying not to get emotional. So some people want to know, is this finished? And how did they get a copy? I saw somebody saying, where can I buy my copy? Scroll by.
So at the end, Michael will share my Instagram. So that would be a way to find it. Thank you guys. There really are 3 stories. My husband came home from the airport. He said, "Yeah, I saw it." His name's Bob. I saw Max at the airport, and you can't believe what he told me. And Charlie told me the 3 stories just in that order, just like that. And I said, somebody's got to write these down. That's crazy. And then I wrote them down.
So you have the completed comic
Yeah,
with all 3 stories?
It's 25 pages. Yeah, it's not very long, but
And can people buy it?
yes, they can. One
All
day.
right.
When
One day,
I
but
am
not yet.
going to have it printed somewhere, somehow. So
Okay, because I know a lot of people, including me, want that on our shelves. All right, well,
thank you guys.
thank you, Betsy. All right, we've got 2 more readers. I hope you hang on. Next up, you don't even have to wave. I see you, Mark. You're right up there. We have Mark Wilson, a cartoonist who loves the live reading format. His animated shorts have appeared in festivals like Slam Dance and Spike and Mike's Sick and Twisted. He's also performed monologues at one-man fringe festival shows, and in the 2-man spoken word rock band he founded with his guitarist friend Amusia. Am I saying that right? Amusia?
Musia.
Amusia. Coordinating words and pictures, spoken words, that is a big key theme. Here's a taste of Mark's comic Father's Day.
Oh, that was a wordy bio. All right. Flying by the seat of my pants here. Let's do this in Microsoft Picture Viewer. Very high tech.
High tech.
It's I'm lucky that I'm here coming off the plane with motion sickness after a
Oh
flight.
no,
So
you just got back from
I'm here.
vacation. This
Yeah.
is like split-second timing.
Yes.
We're glad you're here.
even got my computer turned on. That was a challenge as well. All right. And let's get so where I can read what's going on here too. First, let's try this in the form of a daily comic strip. One panel at a time. On the way to preschool.
And I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Daddy, you are so good at helping pack my backpack. I'll still want your help forever, even when I'm 27 years old. Note, old dad. I'm sure you'll be very independent. You won't want me around. No, Daddy, I will always want you to be around. Always. I want that too, Lila, but too many thoughts. But 27 plus 45 equals tears springing suddenly to eyes. Long pause. Daddy, huh? Daddy, if you got your head cut off right now, would you be dead right away, or could you still look around for a while? But this strip form does the moment little justice. It demands a kicker, a button, a punchline, reducing its message to little more than what you get from one of those family dailies that I grew up despising. I.e., it's precious if I say something appalling because I'm one of God's innocents, right, Mommy? And stuffed as that comic, the daily strip comic above, may be, it omits so much of why the moment actually struck me. To add a little context, helping Lila pack, that really meant that I had stanched a front door meltdown by finding her fake wallet with the fake driver's license that I had made for her last week. Why is that important? Yes, exactly. Lila was shouting an atonal melody the whole time that this was going on in the car. Was that a motif from Schoenberg's Erwartung? While somehow also asking me arithmetic questions. This all had me in a mood you might call aneurysm adjacent. Throw that stuff in, along with some of the thoughts looping through my head at the time, and you get, I guess, a version that is an alt comic. 9 a.m. I can't believe we're running late. How can it be that we're running late? Just how long does it take to put on our shoes? On the way to preschool, I'm behind on so much goddamn work. La 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 la. What's 3 plus 2? 5. What's 6 plus 4? 10. Wow, you know everything, Daddy. I assure you, I really do not. But do you know what 1,000 plus 1 is? 1,001. See? How do you know all of these things? Daddy, if you had your head cut off, would you still be able to see for a while? I always want you to be around, Daddy, always. So I'm presenting the daily tracking report to the best hope that I have left this afternoon is to falsify the returns and hope that it comes close to accurate. Why did I go to sleep last night? And this Sunday is Father's Day. Jesus, am I really going to make myself call him? We've lost that punchline, but this form has teased out a hint of the really important thing, more important than context, a subtext regarding Father's Day, the imminent coming of Father's Day. These days, I think about and perform acts of parenthood all but constantly. At the same time, I am almost always wearing socks. But do I think of myself as Mark Wilson, sock wearer? Well, that's how it can seem with Dad. Here's some dads. Me? Yes, I know, but me? Yes, thoughts of fatherhood, both good and guilty, flashed through my mind during that moment in the car. For example, when Lila said she would always want me around, a contrarian thought not unlike this one came to mind it came and left within a quarter of a second. So here we have, starring the kindergarten kid, Cowpoke Comics. Ha! As I grow older, I'll never reevaluate my gratitude for your protection. I wouldn't be so sure. Nope. My feelings are changeless and imperishable, just like the cowboy adventure genre itself, riding 150 years of popularity into a sunset of uninterrogated race, class, and gender coding, and Manichaean morality. An interjection from Ming the Merciless. Foolish mortal, this feminist cowboy subtext and context is only so much stalling. You know the text is me, your father, whom you must call this weekend. relevant side notes, Max von Sydow set aside, it is startling what kind of anti-Asian racism Flash Gordon wore on its sleeve. Impertinent! You're stalling again! How can I begin to explain the role of my father in all of this? Driving my child to school. I need to appropriate several more comic genres. Hell, let's make it a whole funnies page. Scan and pan, because how was I going to chop all this up? First is Nurse 3G. Our patient is a 74-year-old man living immobile at home for 10 years with his second wife. Significant history of opiate use to combat back pain, but his increasing signs of delusional thinking are driving away family support. Well, his eldest son has not been calling, she says. Gasp! How could it be? Is he inhuman? I know young people want to text rather than talk on the phone these days. His son is 50. What kind of monster is this prick? Exactly. Where is the harm in giving your father an hour out of every week to make whatever kind of speech to you that he wants? Next comics is Legacy of Menace, the further adventures of Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson is the aggrieved neighbor of Dennis the Menace, and would also be my father's name. Police! I'd like to report that 2 nephews of mine have been breaking into my house every night for 1 year now and stealing my shaving cream. What's that? You say I sound like a deranged kook? We'll see who's deranged next week when Putin invades Israel and starts the apocalypse, just like it says in the book of Daniel. But don't look for me or my wife or dog will be raptured. The family treacle. Well, Mommy, I guess the good news is that Daddy loved you so much that he barely knew how to go on without you. The bad news is that what he could manage was to marry somebody he'd just met 6 months after you died, and from then on, he's steadily been demonizing you in increasing degrees until, damn it, I wasn't finished. I need my son on the line right now to tell him his mother used to screw her own brother. She was a wonderful mother to our 2 boys, but I don't think they were mine. That's all water under the bridge. What matters now are the post-rapture instructions that I've left in my garage. My son has to know to come get them during the tribulation. Falls asleep. And we have some puzzles on the side. The puzzler. Answer these 3 questions. Is it possible to make yourself believe in good faith something you don't believe because a loved one wants you to? If you answer N and O, you would copy those down to the bottom here. There's a puzzle that actually works out here. One of the commandments is thou shalt honor thy something. A good son will always be, people please, and you can figure out what the solution is to this puzzle on your own time, I suppose, rather than me derail this with that. But all of these things up here are not the right genres to characterize the state of a man who is trapped, convinced the world is corrupt and threatening to end in blood and fire. There's only really one comics genre that might serve. Good midnight, kids and kidney snatchers. Watch out, you stumble into terrors of the tomb. What makes a tomb, kids? Is it the stone of a mausoleum, the carvings of a sepulchre? If home is where the heart is, a tomb is simply doom. Why, this man's tomb is nothing more than an efficiency condominium in Evansville, Indiana. Oops. Almost immobile, this man shut himself off from life and light. For 10 years, he has had no human companionship, except for one annoying dog, a second wife, Fox, and YouTube conspiracy videos, and a dwindling number of phone calls from his son. Who could have guessed such companionship would produce not a retirement, but a burial alive? This dream of reason's sleep has become delusion, opioid nightmares, and voices telling prophecy of a dissolving world. Out of the television slithers Tucker Carlson saying, wake up to reality. Your son lives in San Francisco. If he's driving your granddaughter anywhere, it's to a Church of Satan pedo party at Nancy Pelosi's house. So dope the girl up on fentanyl and extract adrenochrome. Embarrassed and ashamed as I could be about the things that he says, I must acknowledge it's blocked. Sorry. Well, maybe you can read it for yourselves. I must acknowledge that he's living in some sort of nightmare. So when Lila said, "No, Daddy, I will always want you to be around, always," that's some of the stuff that passed through my head. 3, maybe 4 months that I've talked to my dad, absent real abuse in my upbringing. Do I have a right not to call him on Father's Day? Clicking Lila out of her car seat and handing her her backpack as she gets out of the car. Yes, he's mentally ill. People use that term as if it actually clarifies anything. He's responsible for nothing and deserving of unending indulgence, is what it means. Well, he wasn't mentally ill 10 years ago when he started this campaign against Mom. I lose less sleep since I stopped calling. Find myself far less often lost in my head in an argument with him lasting half the day long. You have to take the coat, Lila. Don't wear it if you don't want to, but Mom needs to see that you took it today. I'd pay for care to the best of my ability, but hours on the phone is a price too high. The amount that I could pay for his care wouldn't be too much. I hear him often enough as it is, right? In my own throat. Say when I am threatening violence to an uncooperating can opener. The impatience or rage generated isn't exactly his voice. Bye, Lila. I love you. Don't talk about beheadings in class today, okay? Okay, bye, Dad. I love you too. And then epigraphically, I wrote, I can barely remember having written this. I think of that little patch of time coming up when Lila's life is still thriving and evolving, but mine and her mother's have begun fading out of human memory. I can't control which things she'll remember about me. I don't insist she honor or respect me, since what respect could I deserve interfering with her views like that and insisting that she respect me? I guess I can't stop myself hoping she will, any more than I can stop myself imagining a thing which makes no sense, which is that I'll miss her terribly in a time when I'll be nothing at all but her memories. That's the end.
Beautiful. Wow, these layouts are amazing. Let me see. Do we have questions in the chat? Just a lot of wows. Really nice. So let me ask you this. So Mark, you're one of the people we kind of came up together in the 2020 graphic novel while COVID was turning everybody's life upside down. And I see you think your process is very slow. I feel same here. Can you talk about that?
Well, this is something here that I have intended to add other bits to. I did some revision prior to tonight, but it's been done for, I don't know exactly how long. Most of what was here has been done for 6, 9 months, something like that, but it took long enough to make that I had to, in page 2 of it, scratch out the preschool kid in the cowboy moment there and call it the kindergarten kid because she'd switched grades and gone up. And she's in 1st grade now, so
Right.
this is
Okay.
dragged across that long of a span of time in a way. So that's one little evidence of it.
What slows you down? Because you know my struggle is I don't want to overplan because I want the excitement and the spontaneity of discovering stuff as I'm fleshing out an idea, but I don't want to underplan either and kind of write myself into a corner. Does any of that apply to your process, or is it the executing of this beautiful art that takes the most time?
No, it slows me down as having a child. And whatever other demands of life that there are. But in developing this one, at least, I did not really have a rigorous plan going on at the time. Most of it I made up as I went, very slowly, but like adding the page with the puzzles and the various types of, a little Rupert Bowling-esque, if Tom the Dancing Bug, perhaps, but I did not really know that I was going to go that way with it until I was there. So why genres? It almost makes it seem like it was an assignment or something from a class, but it was not. But it just popped in my head for some. So it was extemporaneous in this very, very slow way like that.
Well, it's beautiful. You know, I would say things take as long as they take. Stop punishing yourself, Mark. You're great. We love your comics. Yeah, and yeah. Yeah, I just love all the levels, the meta comedy going on here. It's a beautiful piece. Please stop torturing yourself, man.
Well, thank you. I just would like to get other things, finished before this finite life is over, so.
I know, but that balance of, what you got to do to earn a living and family and art and trying to find that right balance where you don't always put art before your other priorities, but not let, I mean, that's one of the reasons I started Sunday Open Studios, so people could at least, come to that and make an appointment to make art once a week. If you have any free time on Sundays, come join us.
It can be a sticky one, but I will try. Yeah.
Because even if the whole week gets away from me, I know on Sundays I'm gonna at least get some work done and hopefully have a better week. Well, thanks for sharing that, Mark, and thanks for, I know you just got off the plane and it must have been very stressful, but we appreciate you being here. And all right, let's go to Barry to close us out. I'm looking for Barry. There he is. And wait, I didn't even get to, can you spotlight yourself, Barry? And I'll give you your little introduction.
Yeah,
So
sure.
we can
Sorry.
see you. Oh, there you are. I can spotlight you too.
Actually, can you spotlight me?
Yeah, I got it. Okay. So Barry Sawicki has been taking classes at SAW since 2018. He's an alumnus of the 2020 year-long program, where we know Mark and Barry and me and others. And he's the past host of SAW's Draw Jam, both online and in person. We're going to close things out with Barry's comic Neutral Ride. It's part of Wicked Problems, a speculative memoir about a larger-than-life father figure passing wisdom down to his rascally kids. So we're going full steam ahead with the father theme.
Yeah, it's another dad themed comic. Yeah, my dad was a really independent guy. He was a New England guy, a rural New Englander. And he he ran his own business, which was like a rural garbage collection business and a couple other things. And he built our house. Like he dug the foundation with his tractor and he like poured the concrete and he built these beautiful posts and beams. You can see the beams in this drawing here to the left. And we heated the house exclusively with wood that we cut down from the property. And my brother and I's job was to split the wood with a noisy wood splitter. And I don't know whether my dad ever drove his truck into town in neutral because we lived on top of a mountain and I used to do it though. Well, I gotta go into town and get them truck parts. Okay. How about you bring the kids with you? Both of them? And so this is the yard. There's the house, and there's the wood stacks over on the right, and that's the well in the center. Look, I gotta get the parts because the truck won't start without it. Well, then, how are you gonna get there? You know, just put it in neutral and coast down the mountain like I used to do. My mom's folding laundry. That's kind of a theme. Previous ones, she's folding laundry too. All you got to do is roll out of the driveway without stopping, pick up enough speed to get past the Quitmeyer house, hit the pavement at the crest of the hill, and then you're in good shape going down the mountain until Dynamite Corner. That's just the name of it. It's not part of the story at all. It's just the name of the corner. After that, it can get a little hairy. You got to try not to hit the brake because you got to keep up enough momentum to get all the way into town. And it's chicken scattering corner here. Like some airborne truck stuff. And pretty much just like that the rest of the way into town. Just not into this idea. There's no way you're gonna drive that truck all the way to town in neutral with 2 kids in there. So here's another plan. You can see the kids in the background near the truck, and they're like, why are we getting in the truck? Come on, let's go. Where are we going? There's a stone wall in the woods. I love to draw stone walls in the woods because in New Hampshire, there's like all these stone walls, and they like sometimes they border a property line, and sometimes they just like go and then they just end when people decided they didn't want to build a stone wall anymore, or they wanted to move to Ohio or something like that. He's crossing the creek. What are we doing out here? Just looking for truck parts. In the middle of the woods. Super mad. Careful not to touch any of the barbs on your way through. We're about to come up on a path. I never know where it starts. But you can follow it a long, long way. Dad, know where I'm going to live when I grow up? On the mountain, I hope. The moon. On the moon, we won't need any fences. Know why? Because the moon is made of cheese. And everybody's going to share the cheese. All right. And what if somebody takes more than their fair amount of cheese? There's going to be one guy that always cuts the cheese. Yeah, there usually is. It makes everything fair. That all sounds familiar. So you're going to be king of the moon. Yeah. Fredo can't really be king of the moon, right, Dad? Well, we haven't really figured out how to live on the moon. And hope we don't. How come? Because if we learn how to live up there, then we'll never learn how to live down here. All right, so here's the part where they're about to go across the ice. And you see there's a house in the background there. Watch your step out here. They're into it. Well, Barry's not really into it. Sploosh. This is my sound effect. All right, so they're walking across the ice. There's like some snow on the ice. Hawk, bung. That's just the ice settling. I don't know how to do this sound effect. So he's running. He's really small, but that's just because he's really far away. Don't worry, you're safe. The ice isn't going to break just because you're on it. How do you know? If anything happens, that truck's going in way before you are. All right, so they're coming up to the house. They're coming up to this window. You just got to take out this bolt here and then pop out the basement window. This is actually how you break into my house when I was a kid if you forget your key. So I don't know, any Gen Xers in the house, like put it in the chat. How did you break into your house when you forgot your key? Slide down the wall, walk across the room, and unlock the basement door. You're kind of skeptical about this. Somebody left some rubbish here. Yeah, it was probably me. See, no sweat. Good job. Allow me to introduce you to Blue Truck. Blue Truck used to belong to one of my brothers, but it's been down here a long time. What are me and Fredo supposed to do down here? How about you be the Gophers? You know, like, how about you go for the socket wrench? Dad? Hold up, I'll come look. Nope. Who's a good little carburetor? I have this thing where I like him to talk to his machines. Like he's got the tractor and he talks to the tractor. Just gonna wrap you up all snug as a bug in a rug. Okay, looks like we're ready to go. Come on, boys. Thud, thud, thud. Freddie, is that you down there? Yeah, I'm just working on the truck. Jimmy's truck. Well, are you gonna call Jimmy and tell him? Well, I mean, yeah. All right. Tell the boys I love them. Say hi to Nini. And for God's sake, do not try to walk across that ice. Time to go. It's getting late. It's got dark out. How are we going to find our way back? Our good round friend will show us the way. And it does. So there they are at dinner. Those are the beams again. Thanks for all your help today, boys. Do you like my spirally cord of my corded phone? I love drawing those. Hey, hey, Jimmy, how's it going? So, Mom, thanks for coming all the way up here and bringing me into town this morning. Yep, don't mention it. They go to the auto parts store. I think that's the last one. Yeah, that's it.
Oh my gosh.
How do you end share?
Wow, Barry. So I've been seeing you unfold these characters and these episodes since we met in 2020. And so the whole encompassing thing is called Wicked Problems. How does that work?
Yeah. So I've made 3 so far. They're just like little booklets like this, and they're about 30 pages each. And the first one was just the first stuff that I wrote. So like it kind of shows splitting wood because that's really important. And then it shows walking the perimeter of the property. We had 48 acres of mostly woods. And all the stuff that's out there, because like in New Hampshire is kind of like a weird place in that it used to be all farms and there were no trees anywhere, and then like everybody left and the trees came back and the houses collapsed into the basements, and there's like basements out there in the woods, and there's stone walls that you don't know where they're going to. There's roads that like don't seem to have a beginning or an end. And so there's a part about wandering out through there, and um I don't even remember what else is in that book. And then the next one is is about plowing the driveway because the driveway was like a quarter of a mile long. It was all dirt and went like
Wow.
down around this corner and back up. And it was like you had to plow it like 2 or 3 times a night as it snowed, or else you would get snowed in. So it's kind of like my dad doing that. And then the next day, my mom trying to figure out what to do with the kids because the school got canceled, and uh, so there's that one, and then there's this one, and then the next one is going to be about clearing the muck out of the ditches on the side of the driveway in the rain. And because in the spring you have to clear out all the stuff so that like you can drain the water out, and then you pull all that garbage up into the puddles and smooth out the driveway. And then they kind of the kids escape off into the lower field where like the crabapple trees are and stuff like that, and then other stuff happens.
I mean, that's one of the things. I want to open the floor to general questions in a second, but one of the many things that I love about this big piece and the small pieces you've shared is how specific in place and setting and how rich those details are. The
Yeah.
other thing that fascinates me is this father figure who seems to be this paradoxical a balance between homespun wisdom and
Yeah.
pure chaos.
Yeah.
What's that about, Barry?
I don't know. I like um I think like trying to like live sort of off the grid like is always like a series of trade-offs, and there's always these unexpected challenges. Like the plowing the driveway, like he built the plow. Like he had a plow, but like it wasn't supposed to go on the tractor. He welded this weird triangle metal thing to the tractor, and then like he had this like chains coming down from the bucket, like this weird marionette thing. Like it's like, he just kind of like improvised all of these things, that made it possible for us to live out there. And it was like really, really magical. I don't know. It's just really magical.
And that definitely comes through in these stories. Really beautiful.
Thanks.
And just to let everybody know, I've been pasting the links periodically into the chat. I'm going to do it one more time. I know that we're running a little later than these things usually do. But if you have any questions, raise your Zoom hand for any of the readers, or how to get through the holidays. If you want advice about how to survive the holiday season. Anybody? Okay. Ina. Hi, Ina.
Hi, I just want to say that, Barry, I see your stuff on Instagram, and seeing it tonight with all that space around it just made it so much more wonderful. So I just want to say that. That's all.
Thanks, Ina. That's really nice of you.
Thank you, Ina. It's so good to sort of see you.
Oh, you too, Michael.
Yeah, this way of sharing comics is so fascinating to me. Because we're hearing the creator's voice. Um, and it makes me think like we're prehistoric humans in a cave looking at cave paintings. There's something so primal about this format that I love. All right, I see a couple more questions. Judith. Hi, Judith.
Hi. Actually, I wondered, can people say, I know that we got everybody's email addresses, right? Everybody so I can
There's social
continue.
media, yeah. I'll
Yeah.
paste it again.
So for example, did people do hand drawing or work in Procreate or what? I'm really curious.
Just jump in, readers.
Did you hear me? Yeah, people
It's
just say,
appropriate for me.
say that
Okay,
again.
I did everything on paper, on Bristol board paper with pen and ink. I did all the images that way, and the writing I did by hand with a some kind of pen. I think it might have been yeah, I think I used a technical pen, you know, a Micron or something like that. But the coloring I did with pencil crayon, and I scanned the two and put them together in Photoshop.
Okay.
So that's how I did it.
Great. Barry, how did you do it?
My process is really crazy because it developed around like I decided to make a comic so that my kids wouldn't see me on my phone all the time. That didn't work, but but I will like draw stuff on little tiny scraps of paper, and then I'll scan it in, and then I'll sometimes print it back out and draw more stuff around it, like the backgrounds around it, and then I'll like scan it back in and print it back out and then color it after that with Copic markers. So it's like it's this weird hybrid of analog and digital.
The scanning meaning you scan it in to turn it into a JPEG file and then
Yeah.
right. Okay. Great.
It's
Anybody else?
Picking up what you're putting down. I do
Oh,
the
yeah.
same thing. I sort of draw them and yeah, scan lots of like textures and yeah, go back and forth. So that like the original art doesn't really exist. There's like, well, there's a doodle that this was based on.
Right. Well, Rob, I've interrogated you before about that, so I'm a little more familiar with your stuff, but it just interests me a lot. I mean, I've been doing art for years and years and years, and I used to do books before there was computer work, you know, publication design when it was still, I don't even know what it was, like typesetting. And now to think about learning all the new stuff when I really just like to draw, it's interesting. It's just really interesting. Everybody's work looks really natural. You know what I mean? It feels very artistic in a, I want to say creamy or juicy way. You know, it just looks like someone's hand is there, which is great.
I love seeing those the magic marker streaks, Barry. It just gives it a tactile,
Right.
handmade feeling that I love.
Betsy, what about you? Did you say how you do your stuff?
Yeah, I mainly do on Procreate.
Uh-huh. Had you always done that?
No, I used to do a little bit more of the hybrid, draw it on a scrap of paper, scan it in, and then draw on it some more. You have so much control over the color and the backgrounds if you pull it in separately that I feel kind of like it's cheating, but that's
Well,
what
I don't know.
do.
If it's easy, you know, if it's natural to you and it's then it just becomes your tools.
Yeah,
Appropriate
you're
with your
right.
tools. Yeah. I don't have a judgment about it. I'm just kind of interested.
I have enough judgment for all of us.
Oh, okay.
So.
What about Michaela? Because you have that kind of, you know, some of those panels look like woodcut.
Well, they're drawn in ink on Bristol, and they're 11 by 17. So I have it, and it feels nice. You know, I can show you like when you have it together. It's kind of nice to see. No, they're this size.
Yeah, wow.
Nice.
Wow.
So sometimes it takes me a while to and then there's a bunch of smaller pre-sketches, you know. But it's very satisfying. I like having the big pages as a final product. And some of the shorter stuff I do now, I'm going back and forth. I'm doing a series of portraits, and I did ink portraits and then printed them out and then colored them like what I think what Barry and what others were describing. But with this story, I wanna stick with the 11 by 17.
Beverly?
Oh, well, analog, and then I'm learning Procreate. I did a lot of that in Procreate. I would scan in, very, rough sketches, and then I finish it up in Procreate.
Nice.
Yay, you.
Very cool.
Differently.
I know it's intimidating.
No.
Procreate.
What part is oh, you mean learning a new technology?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we have, was that good, Judith?
Yeah, I appreciate it very much. Some of the work I'm more familiar with because we're in the class together. And that's been the most wonderful thing to see people making decisions and struggling. And the part that we talk about a lot is working with difficult material and what that's like. And one of you said something, I forget who said that a day that you're going to be working at. Maybe it was anyway, that you said there's a day that you're going to work on it, and that's the day you delve into. That's
Yeah,
really.
that was Beverly.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And I realized that I kind of have to do that because I could avoid for weeks dealing with some material. In fact, I avoided it for almost this whole 6 months of the course. I mean, I was working, but I managed to hide from the thing that's most painful. So maybe next year we'll get to it. I'm very impressed, really inspired by everybody's work.
On that topic, can I ask a question about procrastination? Does anybody have a thing they want to talk about?
Oh gosh, that's actually kind of one of the topics of my anthology piece, is how hard it is to get anything done. Procrastinating is really an art. And I say that because sometimes you can get things done when you're procrastinating from something that you don't want to do, and you do something else that's terrifying, but it's a little less terrifying than the thing you're avoiding. And then it turns out that you do the other thing. I mean, that you kind of begin to recognize in yourself. Like if I do my taxes, I know that I'm really seriously procrastinating against something really big, in the art world. There's a lot of discussion online about procrastinating being an element of childhood trauma.
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about now. It seems like the last 10 years, it became something that enough people are dealing with. It's interesting.
I know for me with ADD, I think something that happens is I just get so overwhelmed and feel so anxious about the tedium and the labor, and I just get locked up with nerves. So it's not like I'm stalling. It's sometimes I just feel paralyzed. And
The
that's
tedium
one of the
labor
things
of
about
the thing you're trying to procrastinate from. Is that what you're
I
saying?
wouldn't call it procrastination. I'd say that I feel so anxious about all the work involved and the tedium that I kind of like lock up inside.
And it can be a way to get started. So tell yourself you're ordering something or putting something right, and that will give you the momentum to get back to the thing that you're actually trying to do, which works sometimes.
Yeah.
By doing something that's not related, I can just jump off of it back to the thing that I'm procrastinating.
Yeah,
But
any hack
doesn't
to
work a lot of
brain
times.
hack to get the work done. Yeah.
Actually, years ago, I read about I'm talking about a really long time ago. It was when women were just they were writing a lot about women going back to work. And a woman wrote an article about she had to do her PhD thesis and she couldn't work on it. She said if she set aside 10 minutes, she figured out that she could work for 10 minutes without having a panic attack. That was the most that she could manage. She set aside 10 minutes, and she noticed that 10 minutes of not eating and not smoking and not going out and not answering the door, actually you got something done, and that would be kind of a way in. And then of course you can work for longer. So that's helped for a lot of people. You set aside just a very short thing and say, I can manage that. By the way, at the beginning of the whole event, you said something about having a panic attack. And you said it in a very calm way, and I thought that was very amusing. I don't know you. I don't remember seeing you present before, but I thought that was kind of interesting that you were talking about a panic attack in such a calm way. It's like, I don't know, it brings up something about it being embracing it or accepting it and dealing.
Well, it helps me. Saying out loud helps me manage it. Yeah, if you can put it into words, it's than trying to hide it. Yeah,
Right.
it does calm me. So that was what was going on. Yeah, I have a lot of anxiety. And yet I, you know, do a lot of hosting too. Anyway, thanks for your questions, Judith. We have
Yeah.
Marlene waiting. Oh, what did you want to say, Betsy?
I wanted to say Marlene is waiting so patiently.
Yeah, Marlene's waiting so patiently. What did you want to ask, Marlene?
It's afternoon over here. So good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of you. Always a pleasure. For those of you who don't know me, I was one of the students at the past graphic novel intensive course. Just wonderful to have been given the opportunity to participate. And, I wasn't going to say anything, but I thought in honor of those presenters today who read their work, I just want to congratulate each one of you for coming forward and sharing your wonderful work with us. To Michaela, your work is so deep and so professional. It always is a joy and a pleasure for me to look at, and today especially take the time and really see how your work comes together. The drawings are intense, it's historical, well researched, and yet there is a sadness involved with it. And I really, tip my hat to you for the courage that you show in sharing that with us. And I think you are to be congratulated. To Maria, I think her name is Maria. I only voted at the age of 40 in my life because in the country of my birth, we could not vote. So when I came to Australia, which is now my where I live, my hometown, Sydney, democracy is such a gift, and people overlook it very often. And for you to sort of, go through the highlights of your recent election process was really, it was sad in a way because, of the nature of some of the candidates who overlook the importance of their presence and their leadership, and they do not in some way, and I know I'm being critical, they don't take responsibility for the citizens who depend on their decision making to a great extent. And I thank you for explaining a little bit of your democracy and your election process to a person like me. It's very complicated from what I can see as compared to how we do it in Australia. To Rob, I really love your work. It's really a shifts up another gear for me. I really love it, and you really entertained me this afternoon with all your, the drunkenness in it. It's like a pub, I guess, and all the characters and the facial expressions of your caricatures. Is such a gift and it was such a joy to look at, honestly. And getting people to do different parts. You are like a director of a movie, and you the illustrator, and you are the gaffer. I don't know. Your energy and your talents are endless. And it's I really would have missed out if I didn't log in today. And my dear friend Betsy, you know what? I really want to buy that book, that comic book. It's so childlike, and I didn't really read comics as a child. So if that book becomes available, I do want to read it and read it like a child, would. Your caricatures are so simple. The writing is clear. I just loved it. And yeah, thanks for sharing yours too. And Beverly, oh, another courageous lady. Your story it's mind-boggling. that you can even write about it and share it with us. You know, there are many things in life that sadden us, but yours is truly traumatic and saddening, and that you could, you know, take the courage to do the graphic novel on that topic. Kudos to you. Barry, I thought I was going to fall asleep, not because I was bored, but because of the amount of information I got of listening to your presentations. I always wondered what the silent comic was, but you educated me this afternoon. About a whole page with no dialogue. I've never seen something like that in my life. And I thought, oh, this is what Tom was talking about. You made it clear to me. And you know, your humor is dry and it's so innocent. And I've never been in a snow-laden country, so you gave me an education of what it's like to, you know, be in snow and with a dad who is intense and is not. And you know, when you said you have children, I said, no, that can't be true. He's just a little boy himself. So yeah, I know I've said a fair, but Michael, is it the presenter?
Oh yeah, I forgot to name myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael, I remember you said your dog died. Was that true?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I really felt really sad for you. And I hope, you know, you can get over the sadness. You can't rush it. But, you know, there's always the option of another friend, hairy friend, I suppose. And with those few words, I'd like to say thank you to you all and wish you all the best for 2024. I haven't completed I call it part 1 of my comic. I really burnt myself out and had to take a rest because it impacted my health a little bit. And I was advised just to take it easy. So thank you, everyone. And thank you for the opportunity for me to share.
Thanks, Marlene. Well, Angie and I are talking about maybe adopting Barry when he becomes available.
Oh, beautiful.
Instead of getting. All right, listen, thanks. Thanks, Michaela, Maria, Beverly, Rob, Betsy, Mark, Barry. I think it does take some crazy kind of courage to make comics and then just stand up and share them like this. Thank you for volunteering and sharing your beautiful work with us. As is tradition, I'm going to, everybody can unmute themselves now. Give the readers a round of applause and Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Excellent
Happy New
evening.
Year.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thanks, everyone.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yay.
Great job.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
Great comic.
Thanks for
See you on
having
the
us.
playground.
Happy
Good night.
2024.
Keep making comics.
Yeah,
Yes.
Definitely.
we believe in comics.
And
See you
making
next
comics.
year.
Yeah, we need people to read
Thank
them.
you,
as well.
Michael.
Thank you,
Yes,
everybody.
thank you,
Thanks for
Michael.
coming.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael, for all the back stuff you
Good
did.
luck, Judith.
Oh my God, what a
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Marlene. Bye,
Bye.
Judith.
Bye, Michaela. Edla.